So we're going to get some of our gaming partners and friends in here.
Hey, what
Awesome.
up, guys? What up,
That's
Anthony?
awesome,
Hello to everybody from Miami Beach, Florida. I'm at Miami Web3. Now I'm on the way over to Decentral to meet up with some of our other friends, but you know, nothing better to do in between conventions and Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like everyone's down there right now. Most people I talk to are down there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's weird. A lot of people are here. A lot of the parties got canceled, but it's still a good time for everybody.
Why did the parties get canceled?
Shit, I asked that MF or Sam Bankman piece of shit.
He's ruined it for everyone.
Yeah, he didn't ruin it for Kyle from Undead Blocks, though. He had an awesome time last night. I'm sure he'll tell you all about it later.
I can't wait to hear it.
Croissant, welcome. Are you guys going to be tag teaming this, or is it going to be one speaker?
We'll probably take turns speaking a little bit. We have different perspectives and different levels of insight based on our roles and responsibilities within the company, right? David may want to speak as well. David, if you do just request to speak, and come on up, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, good morning.
Hey,
everyone.
Croissant, welcome.
How you doing today, Noah?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to hear about Homie Wars. I'm thrilled that we were finally able to get you guys on, and then you guys have your pre-sale tomorrow now. So it should be exciting.
Yes, we are so excited to be here as well. And yes, the pre-sale is tomorrow. We have so much going on, and we're really happy to be here talking with you guys.
So I think we should get started and at least jump into kind of your backgrounds. We usually start these AMAs with a good afternoon, Whale Coin Talk community. My name is Noah. I'm here today with Homie Wars. We got Anthony, Croissant, and Mech. Mech, again, remind me your names just so I can address you properly.
Dave? No problem, bro. It's David 10X. David 10X is always behind the mech, and if it's not me, you guys better go report that shit because we got hacked.
So, Dave, Anthony, Croissant, I'm really excited to have you guys on today. Let's jump right in. Tell us about Homie Wars. Give us a high-level overview, and then we can jump into nuts and bolts individually.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah, the high level, it's real simple. We tried to make things as simple as possible with Homie Wars. The real goal is to onboard millions of users, right? We want a seamless experience. We want a great game with an outstanding user experience. We want it to just be fun. Now, of course, with that, we want to bring the great benefits of Web3 technology. And of course, those are, interoperability and composability. So you can have mechanics and assets that migrate from game to game and different ways that we can integrate, relationships with our partners. In addition to that, of course, asset ownership is a huge one right now. In the Web2 community, we see a lot of people spending a lot of money on their assets and they don't actually own them. We want to be able to provide that value so that users can, of course, build and create value with those assets, be able to resell them later on, or at the very least, just know that they're there, that they belong to them. And we can't do anything with those in regards to that. And of course, earning mechanics is a big one too. We've seen some issues in the past. Last year, there was a lot of flaws that existed within the space. And we spent a lot of time this year, conversing with data scientists, professional economists, those that design game economies, and making sure that we can provide sustainable opportunities for people to earn. And with all of that, we come with a free-to-play game with free-to-earn mechanics in the future. So we really want no barrier to entry. We'll be looking to take it from the platform right now, which is a Web3 dApp. This is a browser-style game, and be able to port that to mobile because we use WebGL, so it'll be very simple and quick for us. And we just want anyone who wants to enjoy a game to be able to hop in the game, and with that, have the opportunity to learn about Web3 technology, learn about crypto, learn about NFTs at their own pace, of course, and make that move forward if they so wish. But if not, they can just support the economy. They can support the system within the game. They can support the platform by playing the game and having a great time. So that's just kind of a quick rundown. But of course, the game itself, that's what we really want to dive into, I think. And what we have here is David and Victor, our two founders, have done an outstanding job of building a metaverse in its alpha state as well as the gameplay. And we're looking to provide an opportunity for people to come into this ecosystem, enjoy themselves, converse, have a good time. There'll be tons of different activities. If you hop in the Homeverse, which we can all do here on this Twitter space, if anybody's interested, you'll start to notice there are various things you can do throughout that ecosystem. So right now, when you do enter, you walk through a bridge, you come into kind of a town hall area, and there's 2 buildings, and that's where the gameplay will take place. 2 different portals, one being the gym where you can hop in and train and build your experience and your skill sets within the game. And of course, on the other side is the battle rooms where you can actually set up competitions with your friends. You just create a battle room, you hop in, and you go at it. And if you're familiar with Fall Guys, the gameplay is very similar, very influenced or inspired by that. We wanted a party style, family friendly, bubbly game that still has that kind of esports level of competition. So it, of course, appeals to all demographics. Now, beyond that little town square area, you'll also notice that there are 3 other bridges, and you can cross those to go to one, the disco, which is on the left, and that's where we'll be having kind of in metaverse events. We can bring in musicians, NFT projects that are music oriented and things like that, as well as we can have speeches and conversations and award ceremonies. There's all kinds of things to be done there. If you go through straight in that town hall, you'll notice that there's a football field or soccer field where you can actually go kick the ball around with your friends. A little bit different than the traditional gameplay with the battles, whereas we have some cooperative team play and things like that. And if you were to go right through that town square, you'll notice that there's a big museum. And what that will be in the future is our NFT marketplace. So those that are Web2 users and less familiar with, say, Altura, one of our NFT marketplace partners, and they don't necessarily know how to use a wallet and things like that just yet, they'll be able to purchase their game skin in-game and not have to worry about the learning curve that comes with Web3. But again, very top level. Just thought I'd run through it quickly. No, I don't want to break your flow. So if you have any questions, please guide us.
No, not at all. That gives us a lot to unpack. So, I mean, first step, you guys want to onboard millions of users. What are some strategies you guys are using to capture gamers and bring them over? And what are some ways that you're helping gamers get around that Web3 barrier to entry?
Well, as a startup business, of course, we're at the early phases. So, what's most important right now is providing a high level user experience. And that's something that's consistent throughout the entire process. That should never change. It should always be a priority for a game developer. We want to have a fun game that people just want to play, regardless of whether or not they get to own an asset, regardless of whether or not they can earn an income. They just want to play it because it's fun. That's the key to gaming. A game, by definition, has to be fun. But in addition to that, of course, we do have those incentives added to it. And to really onboard those Web2 users, what we need to do is create an experience that's seamless for them. It has to be familiar and comfortable. I'm not sure, if you guys are familiar, if you've ever picked up a new device or something, and the mechanics are a little different. The swipe's not the same. It's unfamiliar. It's uncomfortable, right? So we try to assure that within the development of the game and the interface, everything is immediately immersive. If you load up homeywars.com right now on a laptop or desktop, you'll notice that the game is positioned right at the top of the page. It loads instantly, and you're immediately thrust into the game, right into the metaverse. And when that happens, you have 2 options. And one of those is connecting as a guest. When you connect as a guest, you don't have to have a wallet. You don't have to know anything about Web3. You don't have to have an NFT. You don't have to have a token. What you have is the opportunity to immediately go into the game and go engage. And when you do that, some people question whether or not that's supportive of the ecosystem, but it is very supportive. We've conducted quite a bit of research. We've run a lot of numbers. And what's most important is having those daily active users. When we have people in the game playing, that positions us to leverage advertising and sponsorship within the business to become generating revenue. And that's one problem that a lot of play to earn games in this space have had in the past year, is that they're not generating revenue. They're depending on new user investment. And I won't touch too much on that topic because I have some ill words to say about that. But I won't point fingers at anybody. There's a lot of learning lessons we went through in this space. But what we really want to do is build a real business that generates revenue. And when you have that, then you have the ability to actually pay out rewards in a way that is sustainable. Instead of taking money from one person and giving it to another, you're actually building a real business. So that's a bit on that approach. But in terms of bringing in the Web2 users, it has to be seamless. It has to be comfortable. They don't have to go through the learning curve. And what we want to do is in the next iteration, we'll be having a custodial wallet on the back end so that when users do connect, they'll be able to have the NFTs. They'll buy a game skin within the metaverse, within the game. It'll be provided to them. They won't know that it's a part of a wallet. They won't know what's going on with Web3 technology. But what we have then is the opportunity to sit them down in the community, provide them the tools and resources necessary to learn about this, and guide them along at their own pace. One thing that I think many people forget in this space is they're trying to onboard Web2 users is that a lot of Web2 users came here and they had a negative first experience. So when we have this kind of clashback and we see the Web2 audience saying that Web3 is a scam or crypto is a scam, there's some justification in their behavior. They got ripped off. They came here and had a bad time. People weren't here to guide them. and some of the culture was toxic. So we want to fix that. We want to provide people a positive experience. We want to educate them. We want to guide them along, and we want to do it at their pace. We don't want to be beating on their door like a salesman. We want to show them this is what is available to you, and if you like it, let us help you with that. And if not, just play the game and have a good time.
Oh shit, before anybody jumps in, Anthony, if that was an NFT, that speech you made, I'd buy that shit right now. I agree with everything you said. Preach. You just woke me up.
Yeah, amen, Anthony. And I always say that mass adoption, we will have mass adoption when people are interfacing with Web3 without realizing they're interfacing with Web3. So you made a great point, and you and I have talked about this off the record. I was on your viewing party once, and we talked about this, that the thing that early Web3 games or crypto games get wrong is that the incentivization is to come and earn. And we've talked in depth about why it's important, first and foremost, to build a fun game, a game that people want to invest time in, and then the asset ownership is icing on the cake. That's something that it allows players to own a part of the time that they invest in a game that they love playing. So with regards to asset ownership, and I want to get into the earning mechanics as well, but with regards to asset ownership, can you give us a bit more detail about what kind of assets, right? What are some items, what are some assets that players can earn, can accrue, and then how do those assets create value within the game itself?
Well, of course, within our first iteration, we have NFT game skins, and we like to call them game skins because that's what they are. You have the ability to connect as a guest, and you can use a default character, and you don't necessarily have to go purchase an NFT game skin. But if you want that unique identity, you want something that represents you, you want something that's collectible, you have that opportunity. And how that affects the gameplay is that each of these NFT game skins actually have their own unique characteristics as well. They have skill sets and attributes. So in the very beginning, right now, what we have is speed, we have jump, and we have recovery. So these three things obviously play a great role in the physics of the game and how you can be able to interact with the course and obviously compete with those that you're in a competition with. Now, each game skin, if you look at them, we have a list. Maybe I'll pin it on the top here in a second if I can recall, or if Chrisant, if you could help me with that. They all have different attributes, and these attributes equal 100 total skill point lump sum, and that's there for a reason. When we have these attributes, of course, within an economy, there are two major assets that bring value. There's time and there's money. So many people have the money to be able to come in and purchase a game skin that has the skill sets that they wish to pursue. But others don't have that money, but they have the time. Sorry, yeah, they don't have the money, they have the time. So with that kind of balance there, we have the ability to provide those that can't play the game for 8 hours a day the opportunity to be able to still compete. And people call that pay to win. Pay to win brings a great level of value in supporting an economy as long as it's balanced. So that's why we have that 100 skill point cap. So if you increase one skill set when you're training it, or if you go and purchase one that is vastly imbalanced because you think that's advantageous, you still don't disrupt the gameplay. You don't disrupt the flow. And those that are grinding still have the opportunity to have an equal gameplay. And in fact, those that grind, let's be honest, they have the skill sets and experience because they played a whole lot more. So we want to maintain that balance, but still provide that equality. And what that also does is provides an earning opportunity for those that have the ability to put in time and grind the game. Because then what they do is they create value within an asset that they can sell for more money later on. So that's really the key to a balance in a real economy, and it exists in the game economy in the same fashion.
I couldn't agree more, and that was beautifully put, Anthony. So let's start talking about the earning mechanisms, right? The earning mechanics. One of the big problems we saw with early Axie Infinity, I don't mind mentioning them because there were a lot of things wrong with it, but they also were the first to do it, and they provided everyone else in the Web3 gaming space with valuable learning lessons. So they're trailblazers, and hat off to them. But one of the big problems with early Axie Infinity was that you had an influx of players and scholars and managers coming into the game and minting minting SLP, and then using that SLP to breed more Axies to then mint more SLP. There weren't enough in-game burn mechanisms. There weren't enough incentives for players to actually spend their NFTs in the ecosystem, but rather just dump them on the market and take some profit. So what are some ways that you guys are designing a sound and robust token economy to maintain token stability, but also incentivize players to use that token within the greater ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean the real key to an in-game economy right now is something that reflects what we see in the real world economy. And although there are flaws with the real world economy as well, it's sustained us for quite some period of time. And the reasons for that, circulation being a big one. So when it comes to minting and burning, we're not necessarily a big fan of that model. It's not that it doesn't work. I shouldn't say that. But with our game, what we're looking at is circulation. We want money to circulate. That way we can kind of prevent inflation and deflation and maintain something that is stabilized, as you mentioned. So what we look to do, of course, within the game is have the ability to spend tokens in some sort of fashion. But the real earning mechanisms, they come from wager-based systems. So there are two different styles of gameplay that we will be launching relatively early. The first, of course, is the battle rooms. So you have to wager your tokens to then earn tokens. It's essentially a bet against other players, and the winner takes a pot, right? This way, we can ensure that there is no inflation, there's no influx, and there's no rewards or outflow in cash that is not matched by inflow in cash. If you have an economy in a game, there has to be more money coming into the business than money going out. Otherwise, it's going to fail at some point in time. And expecting user investment to be that inflow of money is a very broken model. And there's a term for it that I won't refer to, but it is considered illegal in some places. Let's be honest. Um, so when we looked at the initial game mode, the battle rooms, tokens must be wagered. Winner loses some tokens, or sorry, the loser loses some tokens and the winners win the pot. That's distributed based on the number of players. But what we look to do with the free to earn mechanics and that opportunity for anybody to be able to come in and win without the possibility of losing tokens is our golden ticket battle. Sorry, and that'll be a daily event that occurs. It'll have up to 1,000 participants. Which, if you've played Homie Wars with 8 people in a room, 5 people in a room, it's a pretty good time. I can't wait to see it with the massive numbers. It's going to be quite exciting. But in that process, it's still a winner takes all. There's a distribution amongst the people at the top of the list. And we'll be working on a few different models to make that exciting and fun, maybe mix things up a little bit. But ultimately, those funds have to come from somewhere. We can't just mint tokens and hand them out. And we've seen that in other projects and how that became a problem. So how that type of model is funded is we look to external revenue streams. We look to build a real business. We look to build something that is profitable. Because without that, at the end of the day, it's just a game of musical chairs, right? And that's not what we're looking for investors. We want our investors and our gamers to feel safe in the game, have a comfortable opportunity, and do what they do best. Speculative investors invest, gamers game, and that's what needs to be respected. So with that, we are looking to introduce advertising and tournament sponsorship. And we have good friends and partners over at Undead Blocks. They're doing a great job right now of exhibiting a tournament sponsorship model and how it can be profitable. Very, very fond of that. We're working on a few different things as our gameplay is a little different, the style of game and the way that users interact. But of course, bringing advertising into the metaverse, bringing advertising into the gameplay within the tracks, ensuring that it's on brand and not intrusive is absolutely critical. But that brings in a revenue stream that we can then distribute. Because if we want to play to earn model that's successful, we have to be very honest with ourselves. It's glorified profit sharing. What we're doing is taking profits from the business and distributing those. We can't take money from one investor and distribute it to another. We've seen how that works with FTX and some other players in the space, unfortunately. Not something we want to do. What we want to do is create a profit sharing opportunity for those that are invested in the game and playing the game, and of course, able to participate in the earning mechanics.
Beautifully put. Again, Anthony, you guys have your pre-sale coming up tomorrow. Did you want to give us some insight into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Pre-sales tomorrow, 5 p.m. UTC. So where I'm at, geez, where am I at? That's 9 a.m. Mountain Time, which would be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. We've got a ton of AMAs before that as well, just to get some more information kind of disseminated amongst the communities. We'll be having a few more today as well. But that pre-sale is going to be on cookie sale. Now, we did look to have one earlier this year. And unfortunately, the platform that we were utilizing got DDoS attacked. So we decided we cancel it, pull it back. What we do is go back to the lab and further develop. We had an MVP product then. Now we've got an alpha version that is extraordinarily vast and much more developed. So we feel much more prepared. But the fact that we were able to get that development done without the fundraising initially means that we were able to also reduce the raise. We're not in a need of as much money as we previously were when we were looking at it kind of our runway in the startup model. So now where we are is we're at a 200 BNB raise, which is quite low in terms of these types of products. But we're quite excited about that. We think that's going to be a huge opportunity. So 200 BNB, the max contribution is 3 BNB. It's on cookie sale. It is whitelist only. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There are 3 tiers. The third tier will be released to the public, but tier 1 is where we expect a lot of the action to be, of course. And with that, there's some whitelist opportunities, so we could give some away today. Those that are interested can always reach out, and we can see what opportunities are available. The demand is pretty crazy, I'm not going to lie, but those that are gamers, we love our gamers. We love to take care of them. So anybody who's interested, shoot a DM. We can also pin up a link here in the Jumbotron. Give me a sec. Sorry, I'm terrible at pinning links, but I'll do that in just a sec.
I got it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's going to be a really exciting event. So that's tomorrow again, 5 p.m. UTC, 200 BNB raise. Soft cap, I think, is 100 BNB, but we're not too worried about that. And it's going to be a wild one.
Right on. Okay, so if we wanted to get whitelisted, or if someone in the community wanted to get whitelisted, how would they go about doing that? Do they join the Telegram? Do they reach out to you? Give us some insight.
Well, we did provide one guaranteed way to our gamers and those that want to participate to assure that they had a tier one whitelist spot. And that was all of our NFT holders will be provided a tier one whitelist spot. So right now we've got a mint open. If you want to go ahead and participate in that, it's on Rareboard. This is the first season or the first edition, only 500 NFTs. One thing we were very, very adamant about was assuring that the volume of NFTs equated to what was going on in terms of the daily active users and those participating in the project, because we don't want to drop 10,000 NFT collection immediately, and of course make a bunch of money, but then devalue everybody's investment and have the market kind of saturated. So we're doing it in seasons. We're doing it very incrementally, and that'll be based on what kind of volume we have in terms of players. So right now, rareboard.com/homie-wars. They are available. It's 0.25 BNB to mint. Of course, that gets you the tier one whitelist spot guaranteed, and it also gets you a whole wealth of other benefits, particularly as we start introducing further earning mechanics, different styles of game modes. But of course, you have, as I mentioned earlier, the unique characters that represent your identity, who you identify as and what you like. There's all kinds of bubbly characters and different skill sets and attributes. Beyond that, we have a ton of giveaways with whitelists. We've been doing some calls, groups, and things like that through Telegram. We'd be glad to do some here in the Twitter space or within your Telegram channel as well. And beyond that, I mean, if someone's not winning, feel free to reach out. We are, we want to be as supportive to the gamers as we possibly can. We want to provide as much opportunity as we can, but please forgive us. There is a huge amount of demand too. So we'll see what we can do in that regard. If somebody does shoot us a DM here on Twitter or in Telegram.
So exciting. All right, so Anthony, let's jump into the gameplay, right? You broke down a gym, or rather the homieverse. You broke down a gym, a battle room, a disco, and I also wanted to talk a bit about your partnership with Altera, but let's start with the gym. What does it look like? Are you just kind of training with various in-game mechanics, polishing up on your skills? Give us some more insight into that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, the gym is the opportunity to hop in the game, play by yourself. So if it's a quiet time and nobody happens to be in the metaverse with you, or you just can't connect with any friends, the battle rooms are a little less advantageous because, well, geez, you can't play with anybody, right? So the gym, you can go in by yourself and you can practice on the various courses, gets you familiar with the controls, the gameplay, the flow, the physics, and of course, you can just get familiar. What will be introduced later on is the ability to train your NFTs. So with these NFTs and them having these unique characteristics, of course, and this segues nice to the Altura partnership, is that these are smart NFTs. These are dynamic. So these characteristics can change, and getting in the gym allows you to do so. That'll be coming in the near future. The battle rooms themselves are a little different in that, of course, you need other players. So that was the big reason for that.
And how many players can be PvPing in the battle room at once?
I think right now, I have to double check, and I was just playing it not too long ago. I'm not sure if it's 5 or 10. We have the capacity for 10, but it might be set to 5 right now. And of course, the mechanics that are being built out for the golden ticket gameplay mode will be up to 1,000 players. The top 750 will be the top token holders. Of course, they get an allocated seat for them. If they don't subscribe, then that list just keeps sliding down until somebody does. And the bottom 250 people, this is where the free to earn mechanic comes in, is that it doesn't matter if you hold an NFT, it doesn't matter if you hold a token, you can just simply apply through a form in our community, and every day we'll be randomly selecting 250 people, and they'll be provided the opportunity to hop in that tournament and potentially win a huge prize.
You might have mentioned this, but what is the minting cost for that NFT?
It's 0.25 BNB, so I believe that's roughly $75 right now.
That's a fair price. Disco, you said metaverse events, speeches, combos. How easy would it be, rather, for us to hypothetically broadcast this Twitter space in your metaverse, in your disco?
And to be honest, I think that'd be quite simple. Actually, if you go through the disco and beyond, there's a stage and seats all along as well. So having a Twitter space while we're all in that environment, it would be quite simple. It's just a matter of coordinating within a community to get everybody there. Once they're over there, of course, one thing we're going to be doing quite early is the NFT giveaways we've had. We'll be having an award ceremony where we'll give them away in the metaverse. So that'll be our first depiction, kind of an example of this type of experience. And we'll be doing that relatively soon, actually.
So, Anthony, you mentioned the importance of your strategic partnerships, and I heard you mention Altera earlier. I'd be curious to know at what capacity you guys are working together. How are they helping with this Homie Wars expansion?
I was actually alluding to Altura, which is an NFT marketplace that's had quite a bit of hype, and they provide some integrated NFT, smart NFT, and dynamic NFT tech. But Altera is also a partner of ours, And Altera is, geez, an outstanding project. They're building a massive MMORPG. This is something we haven't seen in the Web3 space just yet. There are a few friends, actually, I see one in the community here today, Graslow, who's building something quite beautiful as well, very similar. But our relationship with Altera is that they have a guild membership. So those that mint NFT guild memberships with that project will have access to all kinds of additional benefits. And one of those is project perks, essentially. Throughout their gaming partners, they're picking only the best in the space. And with that, they get value from individual projects that they're partnered with. And we'll be participating in that. And of course, there's something else that they're offering that I'm not sure has been publicly discussed yet. So I may not bring that up, but we'll be bringing value from their game to our ecosystem as well.
Anthony, I wanted to call on some of my community members that have their hands up, and then I can circle back towards the end and ask more questions. So without further ado, let's go with Aisha. Aisha, you there?
Yeah, thanks, Noah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little bit muffled, but yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So moving to my first question, I want to know on which servers is the Homie Wars game deployed on? Is it on any decentralized server?
The servers, that's a good question. I'm not a developer here in the team. Just give me 1 sec. Sorry, I'm running upstairs to my office. Our developer, Victor, he's the lead developer, I should say, and a founder of the project. He would be the one to answer that. So I'm going to find out quick. Naturally, I assume AWS, but I could be very well mistaken. And I don't believe it is decentralized. But let me confirm before I give any quotable answer.
Okay, no problem.
Aisha, did you have a follow-up question you wanted to ask while Anthony looks that up?
Yeah. I was thinking if any player is facing internet issue during the race, will he be eliminated instantly or player facing internet disconnectivity will be given some time to reconnect before getting eliminated?
Geez, you're full of good questions. That's another one that let me see. Can we get David up here possibly? Did you mind sending an
David messaged in our group chat. He's in a meeting right now, so he's not able to talk at the moment. He's listening.
Oh shoot, he did just say it's AWS that we're listed on right now. The opportunity to go to a decentralized server is something that we could discuss internally as well. I personally, again, am not a developer, so I'm not as familiar with those that are providing as high a quality of service. But that's not to say that they don't exist. So that's something we could be discussing internally. But yeah, right now I believe it is AWS, is what David just said. Now, in terms of the connectivity and the ability to remain within the game, I've never had any connection issues. I haven't heard of anybody doing so either. I think AWS really provides the opportunity to not have to worry too much about that. But that's something that if you want to join our community on Telegram, just t.me/homiewars, all one word, we can get that answer for you as soon as David and Victor are available from their meeting.
Yeah, sure. I'll join your Telegram group and will DM or I'll DM you uh, to get my answers. Okay, so moving to another question. I've read on your white paper that 70% of slots will be reserved for top holders and remaining 30% will be free and drawn among those who register, whether they are holders or not. And if top holder does not register for the battle, the slot will be given to the next registered top holder. I was wondering if any registered top holder, due to any reason, is not able to participate in the golden battle, will he be able to delegate his slot to any other user, friend, or family member?
That's something that we haven't implemented. I think that has a lot to do with the smart contract, but it's also quite an interesting question. This is one thing that I love. You've got some really good questions, Aisha. I appreciate this. We really value our community, and we want to build the following iterations and the development in this game with the feedback of our community. So this is a great suggestion that we will present in the community, and we'll present to David and Victor as well. I think that's a really neat idea, and that brings a lot of value. Of course, there's the other side of the coin where those that are sitting at 750, 800, 850th place, wondering if they're going to get the opportunity or if someone's going to be selling it, providing it to other people, kind of with malicious intent. So it's something we have to evaluate very carefully. But I think that's a great suggestion, something we could discuss within the community for introducing. Right now, it doesn't exist, though. No.
Okay, no problem. I had few questions related to game, more questions, but I'll join your Telegram and we'll ask over there. Thank you so much for appreciating. Thank you so much.
No worries. I appreciate your questions, and yeah, absolutely, always welcome in the community, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be in Telegram. We're going to be opening up a Discord. Lots of staff here that are willing to answer these questions, and any question we can't answer like that, we will get to the person within the company that has the exact answer to make sure you do get that.
Fantastic questions, Aisha. Let's go with Captain Levi next.
All right. It's a great AMA. You guys are really good at explaining to give very much details. But during the AMA, I was able to coin up two questions because I was unclear. You said that the free demo also increases the daily users. But the thing is that to what extent can this appetizer level demo go? And at what point would the players be incentivized to connect their wallets and get an NFT game skin and want to play more?
Well, that's a very good question, actually, and it's something we've been working on very aggressively, I should say, within our business model and understanding the science behind this. Obviously, the marketing psychology and how we can really onboard the users. We have to do this very cautiously. So, one thing that we want to do is provide those incentives. We want players to understand that they can enter the tournament, they can win tokens, of course, they can purchase the game skins, and those game skins will enable them to increase their earning opportunities in the future with new mechanics. We want to provide those incentives, but what we don't want to do is try and force a sale down their throat. One thing we've seen in the Web3 space, and I think everybody in this Twitter space right now can agree, is that the aggression with the marketing and sales here is over the top. And because of that, it creates a bit of tunnel vision for a lot of us in that we simply don't read the messages in our Twitter DMs. We don't read those messages in our Telegram DMs because people are so aggressively trying to push things on us. And when you feel that type of behavior from someone, you have to question the motives and incentives behind them. So we want to provide a great opportunity for people to have the benefits of Web3 technology. If you mint a game skin, there's going to be perks from other game partners of ours. You're going to be able to bring those assets into other ecosystems, and you're going to receive a ton of additional reward opportunity. But some people, they're not about the rewards. They want to play the game, and we understand that, and they bring great value to the ecosystem too. Of course, those that purchase NFTs, those that purchase tokens, they provide value to our token holders. They provide value to our NFT holders. They provide value to the ecosystem. But those that don't do that still can provide value. And that's something that we want to take great care with and really, for one, utilize that as the opportunity to onboard Web2 users into the space, because there are a lot of Web2 users that will come purchase NFTs and they will purchase tokens. That's huge. So we want to get them in here, let them experience, and not aggressively force the sale, but introduce them to the concept so that they can become educated and make informed decisions. We don't want people to come in here and buy the token if they don't know what they're doing, and it's going to cost them a horrible experience, and then they're going to walk away from Web3 and never come back. That's not what we want to do. We want to educate them, give them a great opportunity. But in addition to that, those that are tough conversions that aren't necessarily interested in the NFTs or the token, what we can do is utilize them as daily active users. Daily active users bring a ton of wealth, ton of benefit. If we look at kind of the Web2 gaming space, they don't have NFTs, they don't have tokens, but they still make billions of dollars a year. They make a lot more money than Web3 gaming, and there's a reason for that. There are great ways to provide licensing opportunities. There are great ways to provide advertising. There are great ways to bring in sponsorship. So we can still monetize that Web2 economy to benefit our Web3 users. Anybody who's coming in and say purchasing a game skin later on with a credit card as opposed to something with crypto orientation, you know what I mean, without connecting their wallet. Somebody who's coming in and investing in an in-game currency as opposed to purchasing the tokens on one of our dexes. These people could still bring economic value that immediately influx. But what we can also do is take the revenue of the business and distribute that amongst our holders, and we can distribute that amongst our LP. So this is something we're discussing right now on the business side in terms of what those numbers will be. But once we start generating advertising revenue, immediately we can take funds from that and inject it in the LP, and we can have a consistent rate so that not only are the players who are playing the game receiving rewards, but the token holders are watching the token increase regardless of whether or not people are even buying it. And this is something that we think is really unique that's not being done in this space, that we could really be industry leaders and trailblazers with. But we're cautiously approaching to ensure that when we do enact this, we're very, very meticulous in the planning and that we execute perfectly.
Wow, that's quite some attention to detail you guys actually have there. Looks like the blueprints are actually quite well detailed enough. So the next question I wanted to ask, and I am seeking your personal opinion, is that similar projects actually use catalysts for attention. And my definition of catalysts for attention are influencers, gamer influencers, who are quite knowledgeable in maybe Web2 or Web3 gaming space, and then use those catalysts to expedite the amount of usage or in-game activity. you guys, they also can invariably also provide educational contents from the influencers, and if these influencers put a word out there, their followers are very much likely to follow, also bringing you guys traction. Are you guys also actually using this also catalyst for progress when it comes to marketing?
Yes, absolutely. Sales and marketing, it really comes down to being able to provide catalysts. There are very traditional methods that we'll be utilizing, of course. Web 2 marketing works great. Look at every single corporation in the world. It's killing it. That's not in Web 3. So we will be, of course, using a lot of Web 2 methods beyond paid advertising. I mean, we could talk for days. We've got almost a 100-page document on our top-level marketing strategy. But when we get into some of the more Web3 oriented things or gaming oriented things, content creators are a big one. Streamers are a big one. They provide trust and they provide credibility for those that are less exposed to your product. They also provide introductions to the product. Now, we are free to play, so we made that very accessible for everybody. But in a lot of times, people still, they don't make that jump. They need someone to show them the game. They need to see why it's interesting, and they need someone who can do that effectively and honestly. So we have an extensive list of KOLs and influencers and content creators that we have relationships with. We're very particular and very meticulous about who we pick. We carefully dissect and assess the history of anybody in the Web3 space that's creating content, because there are a lot of bad actors in this space. And there are a lot of people that are just ill-informed and inexperienced. And maybe their intentions weren't negative, but they still created negative results with what they did. So we'll be introducing a lot of KOLs and content creators, but you're going to see a heavy vetting process on who we bring in. We want people that represent our brand and appreciate our product. We're not here to just pay someone a ton of money to have them go push out a video so they can make a ton of money and we can make a ton of money. We want someone who can educate our community, provide exposure to the experience, and engage their audience as well as our audience, and really build depth to our community. We're all one team here, and we need to work in cohesion that way. So that's something we're doing. Now, in terms of catalysts beyond that, there are quite a few, and you'll hear me say quite often, strategic alignment. A lot of the announcements we will make within our community will be aligned with whether they be positive events, externally that are just happening in the market, or within our community and our business model that we're building out. There's a lot of business development going on. We have an extraordinary number of relationships that we've already established. We have from other clients or that we're building right now. And beyond KOLs, there's some very powerful ones in terms of distribution platforms, publishers, aggregators, gaming listings, all kinds of them. I mean, it's if I could drop a lot of alpha right now, we would probably blow a lot of people's minds, but I do have to be very apprehensive and cautious. We do have NDAs with many of our partners that we're building relationships with. And we have particular plans that are laid out. So you will see a lot of this happening and coming to fruition, but it will be in pace. And as soon as we can announce certain things, we will. We've mentioned a few things in the community. If you have any specifics, I'd be glad to maybe talk about some, but we do have to be careful about that. But yeah, you can be assured that we have plans and we have partners already that have the ability to provide us exposure to millions of gamers. And we'll be capitalizing on that and taking advantage and ensuring that everyone gets the opportunity to see what Homie Wars is really all about.
That sounds good. Thank you very much. That's quite you guys are really quite organized when it comes to strategic marketing. I'm still speaking on advertising, and based on something you said, you actually made mention of the fact that people can actually come advertise on the platform at some point in the future. So, concerning this advertising and protocol surrounding it, what can someone advertise about, and what requirements does the advertiser have to keep in mind before he places an advert?
So right now, if you hop at homeywars.com, you go into the metaverse, you'll notice that in the soccer field or the football stadium, there are some billboards kind of up already. You'll see signage around the metaverse, and there will be more of that. It will be obviously divided in particular ways. So there'll be high traffic areas and there will be very niche specific areas. What we want to do and what we need to assure with our advertising is that one, it's on brand, and two, it's non-intrusive. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Call of Duty recently. Correct me if I'm wrong, David or Croissant, but they had introduced, maybe it wasn't Call of Duty. Shoot, there was a major game from a big studio, and they'd introduced a loading screen that had advertising, and the pushback from the gaming community was extraordinary. Everybody was furious because it intruded on their experience. They had to sit and wait to play the game and stare at an advertisement. That's not what we want to do. When we implement advertising, we want it to be on brand, and we want it to be something that is available to users without interrupting their gameplay flow or the experience of the game. So in that case, things will be very specific. The criteria are very tight. I won't get too deep into detail, but you can rest assured that it'll be something that when you see that advertisement, you yourself will probably be interested, because we've put so much time and thought into the psychology behind it and whom we will allow to advertise. Of course, we're a family-friendly game, so that plays a huge role too. And things just need to be of value. We're not here to force you know, brands that are less than favorable on anybody. We want to provide an additional value to our consumers. Well, of course, it allows the consumers to bring value to the business by having the advertising there and us leveraging relationships with advertisers. But we can select advertisements that are of benefit to our community and bring value to them as well. So something we'll be doing and allowing these types of interactive experiences. When you engage with a brand, you also receive reward. But I see my partner has her hand up. Croissant, let me stop talking and you please go.
No, it was NBA 2K. That was the game that did that
Oh,
with
you
the
got me.
advertising.
Jeez. I got to get up to snuff on my market research here. Forgive me on the fly, guys. But yeah, as you can see, it's happened in the past, and it's just not fun. And we see it in Web 2 games on mobile as well. The advertising becomes insufferable. It's not an experience that anybody wants to endure. So we're very cognizant of that. And initially, we'll probably be starting with tournament sponsorship first. And that's a great way to test the waters because it doesn't become intrusive within the metaverse of the gameplay. You know, if you're running down a track or a course in Homie Wars competing against your friends, there's going to be certain criteria of what you want. So we do have our criteria that we're building out and planning as a business and as a team. But what we want to do is also engage the community and receive that feedback. We want that feedback loop. So we'll start with tournament sponsorship, which is much less within the experience and much more, you know, around the socials and around these types of Twitter spaces and so on and so forth. And we can kind of get the feedback and understanding what the community appreciates, and we can use that to tailor our plan within the game in the metaverse.
Anthony, I really appreciate your detailed answers to my questions. I'm definitely going to digest this, and I'm just glad that the aim is recorded so that I can re-listen to this. If I have any other questions, I'm definitely going to come hit you guys up in your socials. I wish you guys the very best, and I hope that the project stays bullish more. Over to you, Noah.
Thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, you can meet us in Telegram, t.me/HomieWars, one word, or here on Twitter. You can see the Homie Wars account in the Twitter space. You can DM Croissant or myself. We are everywhere all the time. We're on multiple Twitter spaces a day. We're in the community. We're highly accessible, and we think that's one of the most important things is being here for our community. This product is not being built for us. It's not being built for our partners. It's being built for you and the community members and the gamers who want to enjoy experience and have fun.
Great questions, Captain Levi. So I think Venice was next, and then we have another audience member in Rahmat. Venice, you there, man? Let's go with Rahmat, and then we can circle back to Venice.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. Okay, so I was thinking, will the daily golden battle going to be live streamed and on which platforms? And also, will viewers be able to maybe bet small amount of token on the winner of the daily golden battle as well?
I am so happy you brought this up. These are fantastic questions. Everybody's got great questions today. I love the Whale Coin Talk community. So right off the bat, yes, streaming is something that has been a thought in the front of the minds of the development team since day one. Something that we actually have, and you'll see in some of our AMAs as we stream the game, is the ability to actually create a room and have a spectator as one of the people in there. And they'll have the ability to have a free flying cam and they can go around the course and follow the players. This is something we will be introducing to the Golden Ticket Battle, and we'll be providing this to anybody within the community if they want to have their own battle rooms and utilize that same function, which is great for content creators, streamers, and anybody who just enjoys the game. I mean, from an aspect to relate, my children play the game and they play Fall Guys, 2 8-year-old boys I have. And something about children in this generation is that they almost like watching games more than they play them. So we're quite cognizant of that. Of course, content creators are huge value to our business model, and we'll be introducing that within the Golden Ticket Battle, as you mentioned. And the second question, the betting component as well, absolutely something we're discussing. One thing we've noticed is that within the Web3 ecosystem, there are Web3 gamers, of course, in the Web3 gaming community, and then there are a lot of speculative investors. And right now, we really look to find the majority of our gaming audience in Web 2. And in Web 3, the audience is really speculative investors. So I don't want to call anybody a degen here, but I know personally I have been a degen in the past, and I am at times as well. And I like to make those types of bets and gambles. And when we start getting high profile players that are recognized around the world playing this game and having huge winning records, that's going to create a lot of excitement. So that's something that we look to introduce as well. But please bear with us. Time has to be taken with that. Everything that we implement, we want to assure not only is it executed perfectly and planned with surgeon's precision the whole way through, but we also have to be cognizant of regulations. We have to be cognizant of regional laws, and gambling does present some. So there are some methods to work around that. We have a great repertoire of lawyers that we have relationships with, some very educated people in a variety of legal domains. So we're making sure that when we do implement this, we are in strict adherence to regulation and law. But it's something that you can expect in the future, assuming no massive changes in the laws that exist right now.
Awesome. Okay. I was wondering that during the races, will player be able to communicate by text chat or voice chat will also be enabled for communication purpose?
So right now you can actually communicate in text chat in the metaverse. If you win the battle room, it's not available yet, but it's something that we'll be introducing. To be honest, within the game, I don't believe the text chat, and this is just my personal opinion, full transparency and honesty. I don't personally believe it'll be as advantageous because it's really hard to compete running across the course with the text chat. So something we are looking to implement, as you mentioned, is a voice chat communication, so that something within proximity is what we're thinking right now. We're seeing a lot of appreciation of proximity chat within games. Gaming communities are loving it, so we will be looking to introduce something like that as well. Of course, this is further development and not something we can have introduced to the game tomorrow, but we also have project partners with us that need to integrate technology like this. We also have another potential project partner, a good friend of ours anyway, and we look to develop a relationship that introduces music to the game. Now, of course, when you load up the Homieverse, there's some beautiful music that is actually stuck in my head right now that you hear. But one of these partners also provides in-game radio stations so that you could change that to something relevant to either some up-and-coming artists within the community or other aspects as well. So we do look to engage the audio experience in a lot of ways, particularly obviously communication, as you mentioned, amongst players within proximity, and of course introducing other styles of music than the music that's already in the game right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, I was also thinking that do you have any intention of maybe introducing tournament or golden battle for teams as well, where two player can team up to compete with other teams rather than only solo competition?
This is a brilliant question as well. I love this community. You guys have outstanding questions. You guys need to get in the Telegram and communicate with us. And we should be having some polls and open conversations and voice chats like this. That's a brilliant idea. I personally haven't even thought of that. Now, I can't speak on behalf of my partner, Croissant, or David, or Victor, or the rest of the development team. But I think that's a fantastic idea. And as we look to further our development, of course, we'll be introducing new courses and new tracks. But new game modes are something that keep the game fresh. They extend the gameplay loop. They make things exciting, and they draw in different audiences. As you mentioned, cooperative team play, it's a whole style of strategy that is completely different. It's a completely different style of gameplay. So that would bring in different types of users. Obviously, this is great for guilds, gaming clans, and things like that. So this is a brilliant idea, and I would love for you to hop in our community and share that with us so we can kind of engage in conversation and get a little bit more of the background on your thought process with that, because I think that's something we should be implementing in the future.
Sure, I will join the community. Okay, final quick question. So I also want to know that will single player be able to register for a golden battle using multiple accounts or wallet? Will that be possible?
Now, that shouldn't be possible. That's not one thing we want. I can't speak on the security process behind preventing that. Again, I'm not a developer, but I know that Victor, our lead developer and founder, is a brilliant man, and he's been working very hard with his team to ensure there are no security flaws or exploits. That's something I'll have to get back to you with to provide you a clear, concise answer on how it's being prevented. But it's something that we are preventing because we don't want one player to monopolize the free positions and to take away those opportunities from other players. So those are the types of things that will get people banned from the game as they're trying to destroy the experience for other people, and we don't want that to happen.
Understood, understood. Thank you so much for answering. Over to you, Noah.
Thank you, Sayed. Fantastic questions. Man, Anthony, you're right. The audience members are absolutely crushing the questions today. We got Venice in the house, and then we can follow back up with me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noah. I have a couple of the questions for Anthony. Okay, so as you mentioned before that about having a partnership with other projects, and one of them is developing a game. So it got me thinking that do you have any plan to also have a gaming event physically somewhere, a event like a Squid Game where players can come around and play the multiple games, and one winner can take all, and you guys live stream this tournament and people can also place bets at who's gonna win. I think it will create more hype among community members and more players will be attracted to win some exciting rewards.
You're absolutely right. One thing that we're firm believers in, and I don't like speaking on behalf of my friends and partners, but I think I'm comfortable doing so about this topic, is that Web3 presents the opportunity for one vast ecosystem. Not only do we have interoperability, but we have composability, where we can build off of other smart contracts, and we can work with our partners in so many different facets to provide value that is dispersed amongst projects. And you may have heard me say before, there's an African proverb that I absolutely adore. It's if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And that's something we have to do in this space. Is we have to really weed out the bad actors. We need to push those that are looking to scam and monetize and take advantage of people away. And there's no better way than doing that than working together as a cohesive team. When you have all of the good people in this space, the people with the right vision, the right value structure, and the morals that are necessary to really advance the space, we can push the bad guys out, and together as the good guys, we can really advance the space. And it just benefits everybody, and not even just the gaming ecosystem, because we look to utilize opportunities to onboard millions of Web2 gamers, but millions of Web2 gamers do a lot more than game. They have all kinds of different backgrounds, experiences, and educations in a variety of domains and fields. And when we can get them into the Web3 space, we provide added value to everybody in the Web3 space, whether it's DeFi, gaming, metaverse, NFTs. It doesn't really matter. People find the niches that they fall in love with, and we can really expand the space. So finding ways to introduce other gaming partners into our metaverse and ecosystem is something we intend to do. One thing that has been discussed, and I believe is in the white paper as well, is the ability to expand the metaverse, because we'll be building it out well beyond where it's at right now, and introducing land claims. And with these land claims, partners will be able to build sub communities. We want everybody not just playing the game, but hanging out in the metaverse. We want this to be a place where people spend their time, where they can engage and interact. And whether they're playing the game or participating in the various activities around the space, they can also establish their own brands. And with that, a great way to introduce other games, and this is just now me hypothesizing. This isn't necessarily something we've discussed publicly, but the opportunity to introduce, whether it be portals or some sort of way to find your business partners or gaming partners land within the metaverse, and then actually from the metaverse go to their game and engage their game. And there's a variety of ways to do that technically. I think that's a great idea. So yeah, we have some thought processes that are very in line with what you're talking about and ways to get there. And that's a great addition to what we've been discussing. So please, yeah, hop in our community and let's talk about that too. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I also read in on your white paper that in the battle round one, maximum time is 10 minutes. And when 10% of the players qualify, a 3 minutes timer is activated. So consider a situation if 10% players qualify at 8 minutes when 8 minutes are left. Then will it still activate the 3 minutes timer because 8 minutes are already passed? Then giving them 3 minutes will exceed the whole 10 minutes time.
That's a really good question too. That's a brilliant. I mean, I love this community. You guys pay as much attention to detail as we do. Um, that's something I can't answer because I'm not familiar with the smart contract or the game code itself that's been written out. But that is something that I believe, again, just speculating right now, that our developers are quite cognizant of, and that wouldn't be triggered. The 10 minutes would be the cap, the ultimate cap. But again, I will follow up with you if you want to DM me on Twitter or Telegram, and I'll make sure that I get that answer from Victor when he's at the meeting. But I don't believe that would trigger the 3 minutes. 10 minutes is the cap, because of course, if we have a player who's AFK or stray, we can't have the timelines getting extended or people trying to utilize that to exploit the strategies that may be used within the game. So I believe that 10 minutes is a hard cap cut regardless. But follow up with me, and I'll make sure I get you the exact answer from the guys who wrote the code themselves.
Okay, and one last thing I want to know, I want to clear it up from you that as there are different challenge rooms, and Insane Challenge Room is really huge and it's epic, it's expensive one, Insane Challenge Room. So is it possible for a normal player to conduct a tournament among players in the challenge room and create a new challenge room that is similar to Insane Challenge Room, and also advertise about these challenge rooms by utilizing the ad space you have in the game, so others can see the different kind of challenge rooms created by other players that can bring them more incentives if they play in that challenge room?
Yes, right now players can come in and they can create their own battle room or challenge room. Now, there are not the ability to adjust the criteria of the game or the settings of the gameplay yet, and that's something we could be introducing in the future. But right now, this being the alpha version, it's simply select the number of players, select a name room for the challenge room, and players will hop in. So they can create their own room. Now, how we tie advertising to it is something we've been discussing. That's obviously a huge advantage when we start introducing land claims and sub communities within. Obviously, we want those sub communities to be able to host their own tournaments and be able to utilize that advertising to their own benefit, because we will be allowing them to utilize the advertising in their sub community to their benefit. So tying those two together is something we're working on, and I think it's a great idea. And I'm happy you brought that up. Now, in terms of, well, there's a lot to unpack. Sorry. There's a few things that will take time to build out. I'm not as familiar with insane challenge rooms that you're referring to, but I will get a little bit of familiarity with that and be able to touch up with you or follow up with you in the future when I have a bit of an understanding of the comparison. But yes, we will be having independent challenge rooms. They exist right now. The ability to modify the game settings will be obviously something comes in the future, and tying the branding to sub communities is something we want to do as well. If that answers your question, I apologize. I kind of lost my train of thought because you got me excited about a few things there.
Yeah, absolutely. You got everything there. And one last thing, I also want to know that will the ad space, will it be like a static ad space like billboards, or you will be utilizing different techniques for advertising other products? Like if you have a product that is related to real life, and you just advertise through your NFT characters, like characters wearing some kind of t-shirt having a logo of that product, or utilizing some kind of in-game products having aspect of that product that is trying to advertise through your platform.
Oh, you can rest assured we will be as creative as imaginable when it comes to advertising. One thing about advertising is that we become desensitized to a lot of it when it's not unique. We see a lot of things that are just repetitive. I mean, tops of banners on websites, and we see different things in terms of media and broadcast. It gets boring. It gets dry. And that's not what we want, because not only do we want to provide value to our advertising partners, they're paying us. So we need to give them value. There has to be some real unique creative experience with that associated with that. But we also want the same for our community members. We want them to enjoy the advertising. We don't want you to hop in the game and see an advertising and go, oh shit, look, another ad. That's not what we want. We want you to see an advertisement and want to engage it because it's something you're interested in and you're excited and you find it a creative way that it was implemented. So right now you do see the billboards in the metaverse, very, very rudimentary introductory level of opportunity. Throughout the courses, you'll start to see branding in various facets too. So very much like you would see in professional racing teams, whether it be NASCAR, whether it be F1, Formula One, you'll see advertising kind of along courses. You'll see things. So in the case of our game, you'll see that balls kind of drop from certain areas, or you'll see different obstacles pop out. We'll find ways to integrate visual advertising into that. But again, that's very rudimentary. So some things we're looking to introduce are ways to engage the ad, so that when you actually come up and make contact with something, or you go out of your way to pursue an advertisement, you get rewarded in one capacity. So that provides an earning mechanism, but it also provides some engagement, and it allows us to have greater analytics that are more precise, as well as specific, in ways that we can utilize that with our advertising partners so that they can have better value for what they're spending their money on. And of course, as you mentioned, starting to focus on the NFT assets and other ways to implement in the game. We've already started doing that as well. We have some very rudimentary introductions, but something we've thought was high value for two of our partners. So we do have a partnership with BSC News right now, which is a Web3 media company. Essentially, they provide publications, broadcasts, and we have a custom homie in the game called the Homie Reporter. And you'll notice he's wearing some clothing that says BSC News on it. And he's walking around with a microphone like a reporter. So we thought that was very cool. We also have an NFT partner, Pixel Sweepers, which is associated with the team that's built Rareboard. Rareboard happens to be where NFT Mint is right now for the first season. We want to provide value to them. So we have a custom robot that is very much like an NFT from their collection. These, again, still very rudimentary, as these are custom NFTs within our ecosystem that reflect some of our partners. So a very, visual branding, but we want to provide interoperability and composability opportunities. We want value to be able to sway throughout the ecosystem. So there's a lot that we're planning on building on top of that with the NFT collections, but that's more to come. There'll be lots to discuss about that. But yeah, absolutely, you hit the nail on the head, my friend. It's about creative and exciting advertising. It's about advertising that brings value to the consumers, brings value to the leverage partners, and in that case, that's what really allows the growth, right?
I think we might have lost Venice there, but gave Anthony a beautiful opportunity to hit us with a big stream of thought. Guys, this has been a great AMA so far, and I know we started a bit late here, so I definitely want to give our friends at Homie Wars the time that they deserve. Rick, welcome to the I guess the panel or the audience. I saw you with the speaker request, so if you have any questions, go ahead and ask now.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. This has been an awesome space. Anthony, Croissant, you guys really rocked it with the details on this AMA. I just kind of had a quick question based on some of my experience. For me, it appears like my enjoyment of a game, a play-to-earn game, has been greatly influenced by the expectations that are set out by the team, by marketing, in regards to like what the game is for. Like if I think play to earn games, I go with that mindset that I'm only playing those games to earn some sort of income from that. And so my experience has been that I only have uh, play to earn games when there's earning opportunities. So can you guys talk about that? How important marketing is in regards to setting proper expectations, and also what can be done to ensure that engagement continues through the life cycle of a game, not just during the earning opportunities such as tournaments.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's an evolution to this process with our project in particular. We're bringing a lot of things that we believe to be new and instrumental in kind of the advancement of the space. Less so with the big AAA games. We have partners like Mech and Underblocks that are providing that big AAA experience. Well, we're more of a AA experience, and we understand that. This is a family-friendly party-style game. So with that, we have a little bit more opportunity to put an emphasis towards the earning mechanics. But of course, that's not the basis of the game. One thing that we're doing through our marketing strategies, of course, is we're running parallel campaigns. So right now things are very Web3 oriented. A lot of the engagement right now is in regards to the pre-sale, as this is essentially a fundraising moment for us. We haven't really hit the go-to-market strategy aggressively yet because we're working within these speculative investment communities, and we're bringing in investors. And what they're doing is they're establishing our runway so that we can then start really targeting the Web3 gaming community and run parallel with the Web2 gaming community. So we will be having parallel campaigns. When we target the Web2 audience, the narrative of Web3 doesn't exist. We won't be discussing NFTs. We won't be discussing cryptocurrencies. We'll be discussing the gameplay. We'll be discussing the opportunity to own your assets. We'll be discussing all of those exciting things about the game model. And within the Web3 space, we've introduced a lot of that play to earn component. But these will be parallel to each other, and the narratives will be very different depending on the audience. A very crucial component of marketing is that you understand your audience. You understand the message you want to convey and the profile of the people you're sending it to. So these will be kind of very parallel and very targeted to the audience that we're approaching. But of course, when we do target that Web2 audience, we want to educate them on Web3 and introduce them slowly and guide them along. So I hope that answers your question. And it's very particular about whom we will be approaching, the period in time in which we're at within our runway, and of course how we're looking to market the game. But we'll be hitting both demographics, and we'll be very careful about the narrative and whom it's sent to.
Yeah, that answers the question. Thanks, Anthony. Pretty bullish on you guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for coming on, man. I got two hands up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I wanna add something to that. Anthony, we know each other. What we talk about is like higher level type things that a lot of people are used to in Web3. But what everybody needs to take notice about what Anthony just said, what a lot of these games are doing. Everybody knows the whole yield farming play to earn thing. It's complete shit. It doesn't work. You got to do so much just to try to find a way to make it work, and it just doesn't. What we're doing, what Anthony's talking about, a lot of these games are doing, we're basically looking for a way to gamify marketing, to gamify affiliate marketing in a way that all of the players, there's going to be a new sector. Like gaming is fun. Everybody play games, but we're bringing in another game to the game, the money game, which a part of it was breeding past, but that doesn't compare to big money advertising, guys. That's what's going to bring the big boys in, and that's what we're actually giving to the people. So that's something that everybody needs to start paying attention to, because just like gamifying DeFi platforms in the past, this is going to be a next level type thing in the Web3 space.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And not only is it going to be next level, but it's sustainable and it works. As long as the expectations that are conveyed are appropriate, that's one thing with a profit sharing model. If we look at profit sharing and we look at dividends within the stock market and we look at some of these publicly traded companies, they don't guarantee you an ROI after 30 days. They don't guarantee you so many exits. What they guarantee you is that a percentage of profits will go to the consumers. And that's really important because that's kind of the future of the space in our opinion. So I'm happy you brought that up, Mech and David. And when we talk about play to earn too. You may hear me use the verbiage play to earn. I try to avoid it and I try to focus on Web3 gaming because the understanding or the sentiment of what play to earn is from a lot of the communities that exist is of last year's play to earn. And that's not play to earn to me. In my humble opinion, that's a game of musical chairs. It's get in early, collect your money and get out and steal liquidity from other people. That's not what we want. What we want is to provide earning mechanics that work within the game because you played it. So, by definition, of course, they're very similar, but the understanding of that message is a little different. So we're very cautious in how we convey that as well. We're setting the expectations that are appropriate and actually feasible. And we're also looking to ensure that we're setting the future trend. We're here to trailblaze and really build out what the space will be and advance it. And it's not something we're trying to keep a secret. I mean, you've heard David and myself and my partner Croissant and many others discuss this very actively in Twitter spaces. We're all over the place all day, every day talking about this because we want other people to hear it. We want other builders to hear it. It's not all about just sending the message to the consumer and hoping they'll invest in your product. That's not what we want to do. We want to educate everybody around us. And if we have advice and we have tools and we have an understanding, whether it be from our professional backgrounds or from our network and the professional backgrounds around us, we're more than willing to share that information. We want this to become a trend. We want to share this information with people because it's very important that the games in Web3 become fun. And it's very important that any earning mechanics or any crypto style or crypto related mechanics become sustainable so that we can advance the space. Because if everybody around us is doing better, we're going to do better too. So we're here to share as much information and as guidance as we possibly can with anybody that's in this space that has the right intentions.
I want to grab Lala, and then we can close things out.
Hey, Noah. Hey, Whale. Okay, so I am in the gym. Apologies if you hear like club music in the background. I'm not in the club. Just trying to get a little workout in, but couldn't pass up the opportunity to come join you guys and talk about gaming. And my comment is just that, it's crazy to me that the main thing that binds us together in a community and in the play to earn world is like, money and making money. You have to have something greater that binds a community together than simply that cash. Because while we'll put up with like very low quality games to make $1, and all of us might be like, we love this, while like shaking, it's not sustainable for the long term. And you can see this in almost every industry, like even on Twitter, right? Like on Twitter yesterday, I was just like wondering, like, why are we all here just like looking for that next follow, looking for that next like, right? It's like, it's this dopamine, right? But unless we were in these niche communities of specific interests, I don't really think it would last very long, right? Like the reason why Twitter is legendary is because it puts us in these little micro communities and you don't even realize it when you're in them, right? So you think you're just, oh, this is just Twitter. No, this is a very small little facet of Twitter. And so I'd like to see the play to earn community evolve a little bit more, because right now I feel like our main outreach is like, oh, come make money on this platform, when it should really be something way deeper that maybe appeals to like less people, but creates that kind of cult-like following that isn't just based on the price. Or that gamification of like, why everyone drives for Uber, right? Like you can drive for Uber for a little bit because you get addicted to that, that casino, like, oh, cha-ching, cha-ching. But are you going to do that for 30 years? Probably not. You're probably going to burn out after driving for 15 hours every day for a couple weeks, right? So I think it's a very interesting conversation. That's just what I wanted to throw out there. I've been thinking a lot about gaming lately and the model as it evolves. I think that this is like where we're headed, right? I think if anything is going to make NFTs and crypto mainstream, gaming is it, but we have to shift our mindset a little bit.
You're absolutely right, 100%. And that's one thing that we really value is the gameplay loop, the gameplay experience, and pushing that and extending that and allowing the community to come in and be parts of the development of that. We've seen in the Web2 space that a very profound thing from Rockstar Games was the modding community. And when you engage your community in that way, they become a part of the team. So that's really important that we provide that ongoing fun experience that never gets stale and it continues to evolve. One thing about the gamification of investments, the play to earn space last year caught so much attention because, in my opinion, the opportunity it provides internationally. Let's be honest, amongst the first world, the Western world, there's a lot less interest in the earning mechanics. Gamers want a game, and that's it. And that's why there's 3 billion Web2 gamers and less than 1 million Web3 gamers. And that's why we look to target those Web2 gamers, is because we have a fun product and we want to provide them that experience. And we want their feedback so that we can improve our product and continually develop and of course, expand upon beyond that. So that's a really good point. But the earning mechanics is something that the space does have to get right, in my opinion. It is kind of a niche market segment, but there are a lot of people in Latin America, Brazil, the Philippines, East Asia, Central Asia, North Africa, South Africa, like everywhere around this world, who are willing to play a game that is fun, of course, but if they can pay their monthly bills, and when you look at somebody like a citizen of Venezuela, where the average income is $30 per month, and that's a full-time, hardworking, blue-collar family, $30 a month, the ability to hop in a tournament once a week and possibly win $10 gives them the opportunity to increase their income by 33% on the monthly basis. And how are they doing it? They're not in a field, they're not in a factory, they're not in poor working conditions. They're at home with their kids playing a game. That's something that we do value very profoundly. But of course, last year we saw that the system didn't work. There were some inherent flaws, some serious flaws, whether it in some cases was malicious or in other cases it was just the lack of foresight in terms of what was going to come. Noah brought up Axie earlier today, and it was a great point. I don't condemn Axie in any way. I commend them. They did make some mistakes, but this is a trial and error time. This is where we're coming in and creating new innovation, and it's never going to be perfect the first time. And we probably wouldn't be having this conversation on Twitter Space today if it wasn't for Axie. So I do appreciate all the great things that those before us have done, but we're here to try and advance the space and take the next iteration to the next level. So yeah, Lala, brilliant point. Gameplay has to be the number one focus in a game, but earning mechanics, anybody who wants to introduce them needs to be cautious, careful, and meticulous, and make sure they have professional help like we have had, because this has a huge, profound impact on the lives of anybody involved. And you take full accountability and responsibility when you create a business for everybody who does get invested. So brilliant points. And I'm hoping and very happy and quite confident that we are going to be one of these industry leaders in advancing the space and showing people how we can introduce earning mechanics. But again, never should it be the emphasis.
I really also love your point. Just to add on super fast, I love your point about considering the impact in other countries, because I think we really view gaming, we view all of crypto really through our own lens, through a very kind of Eurocentric lens, and we don't see the impact that it can have in the third world and in countries that aren't necessarily Western countries. So I love that inclusion, and just wanted to shout you out for that.
Well, I think it's a perfect place to stop, and I want to sincerely thank the entire Homie Wars team for coming on today. I think they're building a very exciting project, and I think go and check it out. Do your own research. As we always say, nothing on this podium is meant to be taken as investment advice. Always DYOR, and make a decision from there. I believe that their pre-sale is tomorrow at 5 p.m. UTC. Is that correct, Anthony?
That's correct, yes. And just like your message, we're not telling anybody to invest either. Please do your research. Please hop in the community, talk to us. Go to homeywars.com, play the game, feel it out, have a good time. If you wish to invest, by all means, all the power to you. But we're not here to force a sale down anybody's throat. We want you to enjoy our experience.
Whale Coin Talk community, thank you so much for joining us today. Homie Wars community, thank you so much for joining us. We have another AMA coming up in 15 minutes, so stay tuned for that. Everyone, take care and be safe out there. My name is Noah, signing out.
Thanks so much, Noah. Appreciate you, brother. You guys have a good time.